The car seat is $240. The crib is $310. The hospital bracelet around her wrist is free. And it is the most expensive thing in the room. Sarah is 31 years old. It is 7 in the morning and she is sitting up in a recovery bed holding a daughter who is 4 hours old, and she is doing the thing she has always done when she is frightened. She is counting. She counts the weeks of leave she has saved. She counts the weeks she can afford. She counts the days until she has to decide which number wins. This is a story about a figure nobody wrote on the registry, about the quiet economy of becoming a mother in a country that calls it a personal choice, and about 6 months that cost $186,000. Not because of anything Sarah spent, but because of what those 6 months quietly set in motion. She does not know the number yet. She will not know it for 34 years. By the time she does, it will be far too late to do anything but understand it. Let's go back to before the baby. Sarah is 29. She works in operations at a mid-sized logistics company in Columbus. She is good at her job in the specific way that does not announce itself. She is the person who notices the problem 2 weeks before it becomes a problem. She earns $72,000 a year. She has a 401k. She contributes 8%. The little chart in the retirement portal goes up and to the right, and she likes to look at it on Sunday nights, the way some people look at the weather. In March, her director takes her to lunch. He tells her she is being considered for a senior operations role opening in the fall. 92,000, a team of 4. He says, between us, it's basically yours. Sarah does not tell him she is 6 weeks pregnant. She tells him in April. He is happy for her. He is genuinely, warmly happy for her. He says all the right things and he means them, and something in the conversation shifts in a way that does not have a sound. The senior role is not mentioned. Not that day, not the next week. The word timing appears in a sentence, gently, the way a stone appears in a shoe. The baby comes in November. Her name is Maya. Now we have to talk about the leave, because the leave is where the country Sarah lives in says one thing and does another. The law guarantees her 12 weeks. The law does not guarantee her a single dollar during those 12 weeks. Her company offers 6 weeks of partial pay through a short-term disability policy. 60% of her salary, taxed as if it were full. After that, the money simply stops. Sarah wants 6 months. Every pediatrician, every instinct, every cell in her body wants 6 months. She does the arithmetic on the kitchen counter at midnight with a calculator app and a glass of water she will forget to drink. 6 weeks at 60%, then 6 weeks unpaid under the law, then 3 more months held together with saved vacation. A small loan from her parents she will not tell her husband about for a year, and the part of the emergency fund that was supposed to be for emergencies. Across those 6 months, the income that does not arrive in her account adds up to roughly $21,000. That is the number she can see. That is the number she budgets around. That is the number she thinks this is going to cost. It is not the number. Here is what happens to the 401k while Sarah is home. She stops contributing because there is no paycheck to contribute from. 6 months of her 8%? Gone. And because she is not contributing, the company match is not triggered either. The match was free money. It was the closest thing to free money that exists in an adult life. For 6 months, it simply does not happen. Contributions she missed, about $2,900. Match she missed, about $1,450. Call it $4,300 that should have entered her retirement account in her early 30s and never did. Remember that $4,300. We are going to come back for it in 34 years, and it will not be $4,300 anymore. Sarah goes back to work in May. Her badge still works. Her chair is where she left it. Her plant is alive, which someone watered, and she is absurdly grateful to whoever it was. For the first 3 days, it feels like nothing changed. The senior operations role was filled in February. It went to Marcus, who started 2 years after Sarah, who is good at his job and also became a father in September, 8 weeks before Maya was born. Marcus took 2 weeks of leave. When Marcus came back, the word timing did not appear in any sentence about Marcus. This is not a story about Marcus. Marcus did nothing wrong. This is a story about a system that read the same event, a new baby, as a reason to promote one person and a reason to wait on another. In the fall, the raise cycle comes around. Sarah's peers, the ones who did not pause, get 4 to 5%. Sarah gets 2. Her manager is kind about it. He says they know she has had a lot on her plate. He says it like it is a gift, this understanding, this softness. He does not seem to know that the softness has a price. and that Sarah is the one who pays it. 2% on 72,000 is $1,440. 5% would have been $3,600. The gap that year is about $2,200. But a raise is not a one-time thing. A raise is the floor that every future raise is built on. The gap does not happen once. It compounds quietly for the rest of her career, every percentage calculated against a base that started lower and stayed lower. And then there is daycare. Daycare for an infant in Columbus is $1,580 a month, $19,000 a year. Sarah and her husband look at the number together at the kitchen table, and they do the only thing the number allows. Sarah drops her 401k contribution from 8% to 4%. Just until daycare ends, she tells herself. Just until kindergarten. Kindergarten is 5 years away. The 4% becomes the new normal. The way the nicer apartment becomes the normal apartment. The way every reduction you make under pressure quietly forgets it was ever supposed to be temporary. So now look at what those 6 months actually did. They did not cost $21,000. They were the hinge. On one side of the hinge is the life where Sarah got the senior role, kept her 8%, rode the normal raise curve, and watched the little chart go up and to the right on Sunday nights. On the other side is the life she is actually living. Lower base, smaller raises, half the contribution, and a retirement account that will spend 3 decades growing from a number that is permanently, invisibly smaller than it should have been. Let's run it, conservatively. The way you'd run it if you were trying not to scare yourself. Take the $4,300 she missed during leave. Take the reduced contributions across the daycare years. Take the gap between the raises she got and the raises she would have gotten on the senior track. Add them up year by year and invest the difference at 7%, the long-run real return of the American stock market, until Sarah is 65. The number is $186,000. That is the floor. That is the careful version, the one-child version, the stayed in the workforce version, the no-divorce version. Researchers who study this for a living put the full cost of the motherhood penalty somewhere between $160,000 and $600,000 across a career. The National Women's Law Center puts the average lifetime earnings loss at around $400,000. Sarah's $186,000 is not the horror story. It is the good outcome. It is what it costs when almost nothing goes wrong. And there is a second floor underneath the first one, and it is built into the retirement system itself. Social Security calculates your benefit on your highest 35 years of earnings. Not your best years, 35 of them. Every year a woman spends out of the workforce or earning less because she stepped back, enters that average as a lower number, and for some, as a zero. The average Social Security benefit for a man is around $20,000 a year. For a woman, it is around $15,000. The gap is not because women worked less hard. It is because the system measures a life of caregiving as a gap in a resume. Maya is 14 now. Sarah is 45. It is a Sunday night in February. The house is quiet in the specific way it gets quiet when a teenager is home but not present. Sarah is at the kitchen table with her laptop open, doing the Sunday night thing she's done for 20 years. Except tonight. For reasons she could not explain to you, she does not stop at the retirement portal. She opens a second tab. A compound interest calculator, a free one, the kind nobody charges for because nobody wants the answer. She does not type in the 21,000. She has known about the 21,000 for 14 years. She types in the other number, the trajectory number, the one her financial advisor mentioned once in a sentence she pretended not to hear. She sets the rate at 7%. She sets the years remaining at 20. She hits calculate. And there it is, on a free website, on a Sunday night, in a quiet kitchen. $186,000. Sarah does not cry. She is past the part of her life where numbers make her cry. She just sits with it, the way you sit with a diagnosis, and she thinks about what that number actually is. It is not a vacation she didn't take. It is the last 11 years of a retirement she will now have to fund some other way. It is the difference between leaving Maya something and leaving Maya the job of taking care of her. It was never lost in a single transaction. There was no moment of waste, no purchase she regrets, no dress she wore once. It was lost 2 percentage points at a time, 4% instead of 8 at a time, in a senior role that quietly went to someone else, in a softness her manager thought was a kindness. She thinks about Maya, asleep down the hall, who is 14 and who is good at math, and who has started saying she might want to run her own company one day. And Sarah does the only thing left to do, which is the thing she could have done at 31 if anyone had ever shown her this screen. She opens the retirement portal. She changes the contribution from 4% back to 8. Then, because Maya is 14 and not 4, and because she is 45 and the catch-up rules now let her, she pushes it to 12. The little chart does not jump. Compound interest does not work that way. It just bends, very slightly, away from the floor it was heading for. It is not enough to undo the 186,000. Nothing she does at 45 undoes a decision the system made for her at 31. But it is the first number in 14 years that is moving in the direction she chooses. 2 weeks later, Sarah is at work. It is a Tuesday. In the break room, a woman named Priya from the finance team is holding a small white box of cupcakes, and she is glowing in the way people glow exactly once, and she is telling everyone her news. She is due in October. She is 29. Everyone says the right things. Everyone means them. Sarah says them too. And then she does something she has never done before. She waits until the room empties and she catches Priya by the coffee machine and she says, "Can I tell you something nobody told me? It will take 10 minutes. It might be worth a lot more than 10 minutes." Priya laughs, a little confused, and says, "Sure." Sarah does not tell her not to have the baby. Sarah has a 14-year-old who is good at math, and the joy of that child is not a line item and never was. Sarah does not tell her not to take the leave. She tells her to take every day of it and more. She tells her about the 401k that stops when the paycheck stops, about the match that quietly disappears, about the raise cycle that does not pause just because her life did, about the senior role and the word timing and the 4% that forgets it was supposed to be temporary. She tells her the $186,000 number, and where it comes from, and why it is the floor and not the ceiling. And then she tells her the part that took Sarah 14 years to find on a free website on a Sunday night. That the only defense against a system that compounds against you is to compound back. To raise the contribution before the pressure starts, not after. To treat the months at home as the most expensive thing she will ever buy. And to buy it on purpose with her eyes open, with a plan for the trajectory and not just the 21,000. Priya stops smiling the confused smile. She gets a pen. Sarah is not a cautionary tale. She is the median outcome of a country that decided the most important work a person can do, making the next generation of people, would be the one kind of work it refused to pay for, refused to protect, and then quietly punished at the level of a retirement account, where no one would see it for 34 years. The car seat was $240. The crib was $310. The hospital bracelet was free. The 6 months were $186,000. Maya is going to find out about all of this someday. Maybe from a video, maybe from her mother, by the coffee machine, when she is 29 and glowing and holding a small white box. The question this video is actually about is not whether Sarah should have had Maya. Of course she should have had Maya. The question is why becoming a mother in this country comes with a bill nobody itemizes, sent to an account nobody checks, due on a date 34 years away. If you are about to take leave, or you just came back, and you recognized yourself somewhere in Sarah's story, drop the month and year your leave started in the comments. Not for sympathy. So the next person scrolling sees how many of us are paying a bill we were never handed.